Hello! In today's episode, I'm going to be reviewing George R.R. Martin's The Ice Dragon. Hello, welcome to the Bottled Imp. My name is Ken Boyter, and this is a fancy review show. Hey! And this is a fancy review show. I can't say it. And this is a fancy review show. Come on! And this is a fantasy review show. Hello, and welcome to the... your little face. Hello, welcome to the Bottled Imp. My name is Ken Boyter, and this is a fantasy review show. Now, I love Game of Thrones, which is written by George R.R. Martin, so I thought it would be great to delve back into his history of other things that he's written. I went online, did a bit of research, and I found The Ice Dragon, and I thought, yes, what a beautiful book. That looks like the one I want to delve into. So I was pleasantly surprised when it turned up in my Christmas stocking. Let's find out what it's all about. Ice of Dragons was first published back in 1980 in a collection of short stories called Dragons of Light. I've not seen that volume, but I'm intrigued to read the rest of the stories as well. Now, Ice Dragon does centre on a child, and she was born in winter. Now, the child has got a name that I'm not very good at pronouncing. Like most fancy names, I have no idea, but I believe you pronounce it Adriada or something like that. It's A-D-A-R-A, Adra. So, you know, obviously when I read it, it's something different in my mind. It would be different in your mind. And there we go. Now, this child, as I say, was born in winter, and it was no ordinary winter. It was a big freeze. And if you've been reading or watching Game of Thrones, you'll know a little bit about winter, because obviously winter is coming. It's nothing to do with Game of Thrones, but it's that feeling. You know, it's very harsh winter, very cold winter. And consequently, she is different from other children. Whereas other children, you know, they'll play in the snow for a while, but they'll get cold and they want to go back home to the warmth. She's different. She loves the snow. She loves playing in the snow. She loves the cold, and that's where she's most comfortable. And consequently, because all the other children run off, you know, and leave her to play, she is quite an isolated girl. And that brings us on to the other reason why she's different, and that's because she has an affinity with an ice dragon. And to me, that's a beautiful touch, because I was very intrigued about how this relationship can develop. You know, oh yeah, what happens if you do meet an ice dragon in the woods? And that, to me, is why I really like this story. That's the main part of the plot. There is another part of the plot which is to do with an oncoming, an advancing army, and you hear about that fairly early on. And so there's this, you know, throughout the novel, there is a sort of oncoming, impending threat to the girl and her family and the village. And that's obviously, you know, it creeps up and it creeps up. And I love that contrast between, you know, a bigger world outside her world, you know, which is sort of the village. And the way that George R.R. Martin writes is that, it, you know, it's obviously very much seen through her eyes and her understanding. So obviously things that are more personal to her, like her relationship with her father, for example, is clearer. She has a better understanding of that than this army that seems in the distance. That why would that be a threat to them? And she doesn't quite understand why her family are, you know, so stressed by this. And to me, you know, that adds just an extra layer into the story. Now, the ice dragon is very rare. It's a rare creature, and again, that adds to the, you know, the mythos of dragons. Now, other dragons do exist in the story, but not an ice dragon, and so obviously that again singles her out to be a very special girl. With the ice dragon, it is primarily aimed at children. I would say about 8 or 9 years upwards, because of the subject matter, because there is this threat of violence, and in fact there is violence in there. But I would say it's justified, you know, and it's not gratuitous. It's not, you know, violence for violence sake. He doesn't go into great detail, but there is, a few bits, because it's war, obviously, some of it's going to be a bit brutal, but I don't think it's anything that an 8 or 9-year-old couldn't handle. Now, part of, if you are an adult, obviously, you may be used to watching violence, but what I would recommend with this is that you will still enjoy this, even though it's for children, because it's a really charming and enchanting story if you like myths and fables and, old, Norse stories. It's really of that ilk. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. There's a bit of a spoiler. Now, I really did enjoy the world that he'd created, and I liked, finding out more about the girl and her relationship with the dragon, and also her relationship with the family, especially her father. And what I felt like, it was more of a snapshot of her rather than a big, detailed, plot that has lots of twists and changes and surprises, and looking at the big political world of the land, like Game of Thrones, but obviously we're not going to compare this to Game of Thrones. But so I like the fact that it was a snapshot, because it does take you over several years of her life. And to me, that was, I felt really personal. It felt like a real personal story. So every struggle that she goes through, you really feel for her, and you really want her to succeed. The writing really does ooze charm. It's very witty. It's intelligent. It's very succinct. It's very economical, the way he writes, and the plot events are beautifully structured. And he does manage, as I say, to balance the personal story with the wider context of the sort of political events. But you'd never feel like you're lost. You never think, well, what's going on? I don't understand this. Who's that character? Who's that character? I know sometimes that can happen in Game of Thrones. And the themes are beautifully handled. They range from family love versus family loyalty, which is a nice subtle difference. Being an outsider, obviously she's a different child. She has to cope with playing on her own, and people questioning her and thinking she's strange. And also coping with loss. I don't want to give any spoilers away. So those are quite deep issues, and I think that he the way he writes it, he never patronises any of the issues. He doesn't sort of overhype it or make it really dramatic as such. Obviously it's dramatic, but not in an over the top way. And I think that he's just got an instinct for how to deal with deep issues. And obviously you've got to be careful when you're writing for children, obviously. And I think he just gets the balance, just right. Now there is another massive appeal for me, and that is it's illustrated. And these illustrations are beautiful. They're by, and again, I don't quite know how to pronounce his name, sorry about this. It's Luis Royo, I believe. And they are detailed, they're dramatic, and they are delightful. They're just up my street. They're beautiful. And the choice of black and white is interesting. I was thinking about this, because obviously colour, I don't know if it's that expensive now to print colour. So it's an intriguing choice, and I'm glad they did stick with this, because I just think it adds to the whole quality of the book and the charming nature of the illustrations. It really, the winter setting of the book, because they're black and white, it really adds to that kind of harshness and coldness that you feel. But equally, when he's depicting characters, you see the warmth of the characters. So you can tell that the illustrator really loves the subject matter, and there's a lot of care and attention has gone into each drawing. So yeah, I just think that, and equally the way that he depicts the dragons are just amazing. I don't want to show you too much, because I'd like you to discover them for yourself. But they're just so beautifully drawn. And so I just think, I believe in those dragons. I believe in the characters. Totally love the drawings. Absolutely, in every way, absolutely love them. There are other beautiful touches in the book. For example, I don't know how well we can see this, but like monks used to do little illuminated characters, the letters on the beginnings of the words. Again, they've got those little touches in. The other nice touch I really like as well is for the chapter titles, there's this lovely dragon motif there, sort of border, that really reminds me of Japanese print, or sort of cross with Art Nouveau. Again, just a lovely, beautiful touch that you think, yeah, they've put thought into this. They've put a bit of love and attention into it. So, and obviously, I mean, not obviously, but I've got the hardback, and again, that adds to the quality. So you know that this, it just feels like they really cared about this and they wanted to make a good job. The publishers have done a fantastic job. So you just, when you pick this up, you just absolutely know that it's a beautiful book. So basically, as you probably worked out, I really love this book, and it's well made, beautifully illustrations, you know, beautiful the way it's typeset. It's just a lovely, lovely book. I would also enjoy reading this to my kids if they were of this age. And as a kid, I would have loved to have read this. This would certainly be one of my top 10 lists of books that I would have loved as a kid. I'm certainly going to reread it, and I'll be delving into these illustrations again, getting lost in the illustrations. I would totally recommend that you own this, because it, rather than get it on the Kindle, this is just such a beautiful book. So there we are. I definitely give this a big thumbs up. As always, thank you for watching The Bottled Imp. Please leave comments and ask any questions. Let me know your thoughts about the Ice Dragon, or indeed anything else. Also, follow us on Twitter at The Bottled Imp. My name's Ken Boyter, and I'll see you on the next Bottled Imp.